What's up, everybody? So we have a call where Sally called the cops about their internet being cut off this last time, and the operator on the other end gives her a reality check, but she still denies. So let's listen to that.
Akron Police and Fire, Harrison.
Yes, I need a police officer to come to my house so I can report a vandalism.
And what happened?
This is the third time a group of people harassing us, and this is the third time they get cut off.
Notice they never asked where it was at. They knew right off the bat that this was Sally.
Our cable and internet wires.
Any idea why they would do this?
Yes, because they have issues with my son, and they've just been doing anything they can to harass us.
Okay. Well, we're going to send a cruiser over there to talk to you, but have we given any thought to perhaps your son changing his ways here and not doing what he's doing online?
He hasn't been bothering anybody.
The biggest lie right there. He hasn't been bothering anybody. Oh my God.
He's making threats online.
Not anymore, he hasn't.
She can't be that dense. She's actively lying and like covering for him. She has to know by now that he was making like crazy threats against federal agents.
Okay. Well, we're getting calls, multiple calls an hour here, reference his videos. Is he able to take those down from the internet?
I don't know. I don't know anything about how to do that or anything.
I would perhaps have a talk with him about that and see if you can get that taken care of, so that nobody else contacts us and maybe people won't be harassing you over those videos.
They're still going to harass you guys and us both.
She's just like, they're still going to do it. They're still going to harass us. I mean, not if Cyrax is gone out of the equation. I'm pretty sure people will just forget about 339. But it's Rax. Everything else is like collateral damage.
Well, if they're unable to see videos from him, then there would be no reason.
It's not just the videos. It's not just videos. It's other stuff.
Okay. Well, we'll send someone over there to talk to you.
All right. Thank you.
Sure thing.
You can hear his eyes rolling. You can just hear his eyes rolling every time he's like trying to tell her something. She's like, it's not that. No, it's not just the videos. It's blah, 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 blah. She will not take any accountability that it's Cyrax. That's where he gets his no accountability from. So anyway, since last time it was such a dark subject matter, I was like, I'm going to talk about something more lighthearted. Let's talk about how I even got started making this stupid content to begin with. Alright, so we have to go all the way back to 2021. So I wrote down some notes so I can like keep it in order and not just string together a bunch of like nonsense thoughts. So June 20th, 2021 is when Bass Shaman made his first Cyrax video. And so he always would have a stream. Most of the stuff occurred in the first chunk of it during the nightly streams that he would have. But he would make videos kind of like giving pseudo advice while roasting him. It was like a very subtle way of trolling him. He would be like, oh, can Cyrax get like, can he become a Chad? Like weird stuff like that. But it was funny. So I didn't really pay attention or watch any of the Cyrax videos. Maybe a little bit. But I didn't really pay much attention. And then it should be noted that Shaman dressed up as Cyrax for Halloween that year. So 2021, he might have been one of the earlier Cyrax like dress up costume people. So the first Marty stream I ever really watched and started paying attention to was this one right here on December 28th, 2021. So it's the second time Marty shows up to his house. It's the one where Ed's like, I don't know you. And Cyrax then later says, like, Marty showed up with like 4 or 5 cars deep. And you can tell in Marty's stream he's just like there with like maybe his girlfriend at the time. So I started watching Marty bits and pieces after that. because it was like nothing I'd seen. Usually, like with trolling, it would always be just like online stupid stuff. But Marty was like showing up, so of course it was just like leagues above other stuff that was happening at the time. All right, so it also has to do with, because after this, my buddy from the streams, Captain Pollywog, he started making Cyraxx memes and jokes. And they would be shown during like the live streams, the Base Shaman live streams. And this might be one of the earlier, or the earliest pairing of Goodbye Horses with Cyraxx. I'm not sure. But this very first video he made. So most of the stuff was just to make like other people laugh, like the like stupid buddies that you had like in the chat. So just make memes and let's see, let's go back to here. So then he calls out, Cyraxx calls out Base Shaman, which just like makes more people like watch him and like put eyes on him. And then he does the Rax taxes. And like all of this like golden age content happened in a very short amount of time. So then it was the beginning of the AI Cyraxx arc. And yet again, I would only really watch like Base Shaman's like commentary. See, because at that point, the pillars of the community were like Dust Smoking Hippies, Burger Boy, and if you wanted like some sort of commentary, you were just gonna get like Zadrium Zero with his regular old spaghetti in a can, or like Greiker, or like Base Shaman. He was like the only like other option besides those commentary channels for the most part. Maybe Classic Games Canada. He was around then. He was like real good and funny. He was like above some of the other ones. So it was mostly through that forms of watching him until like this AI trolling arc started, because it also bled over into like King Cobra with Gothy, and I'm pretty sure this is when Gothy pooped. That was like one of the funniest things ever. Gothy pooping on stream, talking about how much she wanted Cobra. But then this one right here is the first one I remember watching Cyraxx himself. Like I watched the stream of him when he was complaining about the bananas being sent to his house. And so this is like before Concrete. Maybe the pig had happened at this point. I think the pig happened earlier. But before all the craziness, like busted windows, then it was just bananas. And they said stuff like, finally, something else to eat besides Hot Pockets. And like, oh, don't you want to like use this on yourself? So then Heather dies. I remember that. I remember watching Marty's stream talking about it. And then I remember the USB sticks. When he's threatening Burger Boy and Marty with his USB sticks. Like, I have all these 12 gigabyte USB sticks, and they've got your information on them. And he was looking for Frank Jamison. I think Uncle Gubs, that was when like Uncle Gubs, that was like another one who like used to do some Cyraxx commentary. But then I remember this stream right here, the I'm Human, Just Like All of You. It was when he was shirtless and in a dark room, hulking around like a monster, talking about how human he was. And then he gave up YouTube. This is when he like deleted his channel, and he went over to Twitch. So there's a gap here, and this is when he was on Twitch. At the time, I myself had a Twitch, because it was like training wheels for figuring out how to stream. And I had their own, like, you know, the Twitch streaming platform or whatever. And it was before I knew how to use OBS. So since I had a Twitch, I would like watch him sometimes. And then there would be other people there from like the Base Shaman stream, like Captain Pollywog, and like some other like goobers who were, and maybe some like original like Rexologists who were still like watching him. But we were pretty much the only people there. And he would read chat, and we weren't being overtly mean to him. We would be subtly like say funny things that went over his head, and just like make jokes at his expense that he didn't get, and have conversations with within amongst ourselves. I'm sorry, I got tongue tied there. We'd have conversations like amongst ourselves, talking like back and forth about stuff and like jokes from like the other streams that he wouldn't get. And I remember him once be like, I don't even know what you're talking about, and then he would try to like steer the conversation back towards like him being the center of attention. So I believe it was around before the Nilelet thing happened that he showed up on one of my streams. I guess because he was just like going through and like seeing the people who was watching him or whatever, and he showed up in one of my streams. And the first thing he did immediately was like, "Blah, the trolls, blah 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 blah." I think maybe there was like 2 or 3 other people in there, but first thing out of his mouth is like talking about the trolls, blah 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 blah. And I said, it's never gonna end. There's nothing you can do about it to stop it. You're not gonna be able to fight it. The only thing that you can do is just learn how to embrace it. And that wasn't like what he wanted to hear. He might have said, but you don't understand, blah, 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 or some other shit like that. I don't remember the full details. And he left. And we were just like, oh my god, that's crazy. Cyrax just showed up in here. But then Nilelet showed up. And I think he might have used that same tactic of just going into random, like, Twitch streams and be like, the trolls, blah, 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 blah. And so somehow Nilelet got, like, tied up in this. And so then Nilelet was weird and a furry, and probably his fan base was kids because he was doing very childish things. So everybody was like on to Nilelet. Like, you're like introducing like kids to Chance. That's like not cool. But at the same time, he did this like raid or whatever the hell it's called on Twitch, where he got all of his little like followers to go over and subscribe to Cyrax. And that's what pushed him over the limit and allowed him to get like monetized on Twitch. So lots of people are saying that he didn't get paid on Twitch, but I'm almost positive he did because I remember this pretty well. But, you know, I don't know. I have a messed up memory. I'm not saying I'm an expert or anything. I gave myself tons of lobotomies, so, you know, who knows. But anyways, around in this time, Nilelet like got all of his followers there. He got monetized on Twitch. Then people started calling out Nilelet. And so Chance was like, oh no, you need to put me first. Don't care about your kids. Don't care about the safety of them. Don't care about anything else of your real family. My problems are what is most important. And if you don't like take one for me, then you're not a real friend. Calls him out, says a bunch of like nasty, mean stuff. Alright, so that's in June, towards the end of June. Now, I remember I still had Twitch on July the 4th because I was in Las Vegas and I streamed some fireworks. But whenever I got back from that vacation, I got OBS and started messing with OBS, trying to figure out how to stream to YouTube. So, sometime after I was already focusing more on like YouTube and not being on Twitch, he got demonetized and banned because he was saying all sorts of like horrible stuff. Up until then, he hadn't really done anything to warrant him to get banned from Twitch. Everybody would report him for off-site behavior, but they really couldn't do anything until after this whole Nilelet situation, when he makes a video and he's like just, you know, saying all the slurs, all the like things that he normally says, and that gets him banned forever. And everybody tries really hard to get the payment to not go through. But because it already was processing from the month before, from June, when all those people like showed up, I feel like it did go through and process, and that's how he got the money to buy the little crappy computer that he had. Like I said, I could be wrong, but I pretty much remember it happening that way. I feel like, you know, Marty would be like, oh, you didn't really make the money. I mean, everybody tried to make it stop and, like, tried so hard to, like, not let him get paid out. But I feel like since he got banned after the first month that he was monetized, it still paid him out somehow. Okay, so within here, end of July, August, sometime like that, he comes back to YouTube, and he changes his name to Freak Show. And during the stream, he's like, yeah, I changed my name to Freak Show because... Alright, so my name on Twitch was Lo-Fi Sci-Fi. He was like, because Lo-Fi Sci-Fi told me I should, like, embrace it. Not really understanding, like, the meaning behind what I was saying about how, like, you're just gonna have to embrace the fact that this is never gonna end. So, he changed his name to Freak Show. I started stream sniping that because I was like, this is hilarious, you know? He, like, changed his name to Freak Show. And he's, like, saying some stuff because, like, I inspired him or whatnot. And as I was stream sniping it, one of his, like, actual buddies, maybe a holdover from the whole, like, Nilelet people flooding into him, kept, like, spamming my stream that was on this channel and being like, oh, look, he's a troll, blah, 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 whatever they were saying. Eventually, Chance noticed it because he just kind of looked vaguely, like, upset, but not really, and then he just blocked me. And he never addressed it. Never said anything about it, never addressed it. So that's one of the reasons why I say Cyraxx won't call me out. It's because he knows that I witnessed him be an extremely terrible person to one of the only people who was kind of like nice to him or was ever like friendly to him. He knows that I saw him treat Nilelet horrible, like garbage. And he knows that he can't do the whole, like, you don't know me, you only know what the trolls, like, propaganda, fear-mongering tells you to think, like he says with so many of the other people that he calls out. So, if he does, it's admitting to himself that I was right, and he never is going to be able to escape it or fight it. And he's not going to do that. He's got too much of his, like, ego and self-pride to do it. So... I still didn't start streaming or like making videos until this particular timeline that we're looking at came out. And that was in November. But the one thing that I did feel like I contributed to a little bit was Rexaween. Because, like I said, Shaman had dressed up as Rax for Halloween of 2021. So, for Halloween of 2022, we kept making a joke like, let's have Rexaween, everybody dress up like Cyraxx now, and we'll have a costume contest. And I just threw gas on the fire. That's the only thing that I did. I dressed up, as in with the Crypt Keeper mask, and I made sure mine came out a little bit earlier than the deadline, just so other people wouldn't feel like embarrassed, like, I don't know if other people are going to do it, I don't want to be the only one to do it. So I made sure to go ahead, like, embarrass myself first and put it out there, so other people would maybe feel more inclined to participate in Rexaween. So that's the only thing that, like, I really, like, care about. That one was fun. That and Marty's song contest, because it takes a dark nexus of negativity, that's Chance, everything around him, it's negative, it's so negative, but then through like a group effort, it somehow alchemically changed into like something that's genuinely funny. That's what happens with like the art, like the multiverse of madness, like that, like the video game somehow, or just the cartoons, like Kinky's cartoons, or anybody's like art that has been inspired by this like nexus of negativity. That's like the only redeeming factor in all of this. So, anyways, Rexaween, and then this timeline came out, and I started just to learn, because like I said, it was hard to like find stuff. There were only playlists. There was a few Rex archivists. It's not as many as there were today, and there wasn't a concise timeline. So it was just hard to find old stuff. So once this came out, I was like, I can make some videos learning about all the other stuff. So, that's it. Thanks, everybody. I can't believe that it literally just started out as just me trying to make my, like, goofy buddies from a stream laugh, and now I'm still making videos about the Goblin. Anyways, thanks, everybody. I'll see you later.